Welcome back to the CNR recap. I'm Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me, we got Daniel Miguel. And unfortunately, your Boston Celtics lose with a final score of 106 to 117 against the Atlanta Hawks. Daniel, not the best game for the Boston Celtics. And I think this will be mainly on your half when we get into quarters. But early in this game, the Hawks dominated from quarter one, and we're gonna see the differentials. It was a bloodbath the entire time. Like it was a sea of blood tonight in Boston. So the Celtics were able to get that first win in Atlanta and embarrass the Hawks, but the Hawks ended up embarrassing the Celtics at the Garden tonight. But Daniel, you know the drill. Your initial thoughts after this loss by the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one, honestly, because I mean the Hawks aren't a bad team at all, but when you look at the difference between the Hawks and the Celtics, there's a lot to speak of. So it was obviously one that we should have won, but it just wasn't our night. That's why I'm saying like it was a weird one because shooting wise, I mean we made 9 threes the whole game, and when the Hawks are shooting 42% or 43% from the three. It's just there's no way we win that, when we're shooting historically worse than they are. Um, Turnovers is also another big issue for us. You see Dyson Daniels with 5 steals, and it was just like he's an incredible defender. I gotta give props to him. In terms of like steals and blocks, he's everywhere, and he proved that tonight, forcing a lot of turnovers on the Celtics. Also, we really just couldn't make our shots, especially on with threes. So when your best player is scoring 21 points on 20 shots and nobody else is basically like doing anything offensively, I mean, we were meant to lose that one. Um, so yeah, tough loss. Just couldn't hit our shots and turnovers.
Yeah, no, well said, Daniel. Again, you mentioned it. From three tonight was just awful. The Hawks shot 42.9% from three, and the Boston Celtics shot 26.5%. So you mentioned it right there, and you hit it right on the head. Rough one shooting wise, and you know, rough night for the starters. This was a game that just didn't look to be ours, and you look at it from the perspective of our predictions on the podcast. After every podcast we predict the week, and this makes the week go 2-2, so a disappointing week. But you look, and this is the first thing I wanted to mention. Amari Williams did get the start tonight, and we'll get into this later with stats and stuff, but I'm not going to discredit Amari Williams tonight. Again, he's a young player, and it will come with Amari Williams. But from a team perspective, the only player that really had a phenomenal game was Luca Garza. I thought he had a really good game. Jalen Brown had a good game too. But, from a team perspective, it was just not hitting tonight. Shots weren't falling. The only player I would have really put out there and let the game come to him and let him take more shots, but they kind of had him defended well, was Anthony Simons. And we'll obviously get into that when we get into player stats. But with that being said, Daniel, you know the drill. I'm going to pull up quarters, and you just see, Daniel, before you get into it, it was a complete bloodbath.
Oh yeah.
And I want to just mention before you go, Hawks led by 23 at one point in this game, and the Celtics only led by three. And there was just no coming back. And towards the end of the game, it looked like the Celtics got a little more momentum, but the Hawks just put a stop to that. But Daniel, you know the drill. If you wanted to go over quarters for us.
Yeah, as you can see, there's just a little bit of, you see a green spot right there, like on the differential, and that's like Griffin said, the only time we led all game. It was 10 minutes into that, or sorry, 2 minutes into that first quarter. But yeah, 3 point lead in the first quarter, which led to our 18 point first quarter scoring, a really really scary low for us. Only scoring 18 points. Credit to that Hawks defense, man, and their offense as well, as they managed to score 38 points in that first quarter. So we end up being down 20 already at the end of the first, which we obviously do not want happening. But second quarter, um, we turned things around a little bit, not too much, as it's only a 6 point differential. In terms of the second quarter scoring, we end up outscoring them 28 to 22. They're still up a lot at halftime at this point, and then we lead the third quarter again in terms of scoring, 30 to 27, but just couldn't make anything happen. Griffin, you mentioned that fourth quarter, which is the third and fourth quarter is really the fourth quarter is where you saw that lead kind of go down, and maybe you think something's gonna happen. Maybe it could be a little bit of a comeback happening, but like you said, Griffin, the Hawks put a stop to that. They shut the Celtics fans up, and we tied in terms of scoring 30 points to each team. Um, Again, nothing that hasn't been mentioned before. Just terrible shooting from the team tonight.
No, well said, Daniel. Well said. Um, I completely agree. And my perspective out of this too is the Celtics had a lot of great opportunities in this game. I mean, you see the rebounds, and the Boston Celtics had 51 opposed to 38 from the Atlanta Hawks tonight. So that was one thing you really take away from this game. And then offensive rebounds, 15 opposed to 10. The turnover battle, we've been talking about this constantly. 16 turnovers. So the Celtics, that's one thing that we've taken away and kind of looked at from the perspective of, that's one thing they've been doing good at this year. However, the Hawks just took advantage of that and were scoring off of our turnovers as well. And that's really what did it in this one to add on to it. But the Hawks only had 9 turnovers. And then you look at the field goal percentage. Hawks beat us on that end too. They were just shooting a lot better than us tonight. So you look at that, and that kind of shows the game for you, Daniel. But I'm gonna move over to the Hawks scoring because they had players that were having a great game. And I look at Dyson Daniels, for example, who had 15 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 5 steals, and 1 block. His defense was just key in this game. Also shot 63.6% from the field goal tonight. And then Jalen Johnson, who was great tonight, had 19 points, 14 rebounds with a double double, 7 assists, and shot 37.5% from the field goal. And Nikhil Alexander Walker, too. Like I said, a long, lengthy list tonight. 21 points, 3 assists, 3 steals, and shot 46.7% from the field goal. And Okongwu, who had 17 points, and Daniel, I don't know if you saw it, but got his teeth knocked in. Oh, that one
Yeah,
killed me.
I I saw a clip of that. That was nasty.
That one killed me.
Yeah,
And then CJ McCollum, who had 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, the new member of the Atlanta Hawks. And adding on to that, Corey Kispert, who is also a new member of the Atlanta Hawks, had 13 points. So that's kind of the Atlanta scoring tonight. And again, just they shot the lights out. You can't even discredit anything from the Boston Celtics tonight because, they it, it was just a rough shooting night. It happens from time to time. You're going to see the Celtics in a slump. Like, they're having a great season from what their team perspective is, but, you're going to have nights where they're not shooting well. And that was one of those nights tonight. So, got to give them some credit there. But we'll hop over to the Celtics side as Josh Minot finally got some minutes, and it was in garbage time.
finally.
I know, about time. But in 5 minutes had 5 points and a rebound, but you can't really take anything away from that because it was garbage time. I mean, his first shot was a complete air ball. But still love to see him get some time, and shot 66.7% from the field goal. And then on our
I'm glad David's not here for that.
Oh, I know. He'd be like, "Oh, 6'7," and we'd have to beep him out. You're right. Well, Daniel, everyone check out the podcast tomorrow, episode 85. But that's you're gonna see David go for it so many times, so you gotta hear that. But Amari Williams, um, Daniel, this is where I wanted to talk about him. Not the best night from Amari Williams. Again, he's so young and he's so talented, but tonight just not able to do it as of early. And I was really scouting him, and it just didn't look like he was aggressive enough. And he just needs to get used to the NBA. We've said this time in and time again. It's going to come with experience. That's
Oh yeah,
what he is for Amari Williams.
definitely.
It will come with experience.
Um, you saw Andrew mention in the last recap, and I like the take that he had. He just said what you're saying now, Griffin. It's I think Andrew got it really good. I like what he said. He just said like he's going to need to be more aggressive, and that's going to come with playing. And now that Joe's finally giving him his minutes, it's going to take a while for him to implement what he learned from the main Celtics onto NBA players. We were talking about this a few recaps ago. And how we like what we were seeing from him after that nice Nets game and those few minutes he got. But yeah, definitely still has a lot to improve on. But I think one thing that he has got already in his bag, I think, is like rim protection. Because I'm realizing already, like he not only like the fact that he has 4 blocks in his last 4 games, I think it's just like defensively, I think starting to see more from him, and like I'm glad his defense is transitioning well from the G League in that perspective.
No, well said, Daniel. And again, the rest will just come with time and experience. I mean, he missed two easy layups, but again, it's his birthday. He's going out there like his second NBA start. That's nerve wracking. Nemias Queta not playing out with illness today. So he's trying to take full advantage of that. And tonight, I think nerves really got to him. But again, 2 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. So with time, like you said, Daniel, that will find tone with Amari Williams. Like, I'm not worried about him. I know you're not either. Like,
Nah, at all, not at all.
it will come. Baylor Shireman. This is what I was shocked about, and I think that this is something that Joe Mazzulla should have taken advantage of, is put in Baylor Shireman and Anthony Simons in to start the fourth. I think that would have propelled them to at least a closer opportunity, because Baylor Shireman tonight had 6 points, but 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and only shot 20% from the field goal. His shots were going in and out, but the thing about him too, um, what was I gonna say? The thing about him too, though, is he was so aggressive tonight, and I just loved his intensity. So, I gotta give it to him. Um, and then next up, gotta go with Peyton Pritchard, who had 12 points, 4 rebounds, and shot 45.5% from the field goal. Rough night tonight. And then we look at Derek White, who had 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and shot 38.5% from the field goal. Uga Gonzalez, who came in and was a factor in this game, tonight had 10 points, 5 rebounds, and a block, shot 75% from the field goal. And then Anthony Simons, who was on fire tonight, shot 71.4% from the field goal. And again, I think he should have got more looks and opportunities tonight. But again, love Joe Mazzulla, and I'm not going to question him as a coach because I think he's so smart and has propelled this team to being where they're at. But again, I think he should have got more of an opportunity tonight. And Jordan Walsh, now Daniel, too, had a great game tonight. 4 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, shot 25% only, though. But he was phenomenal tonight, being physical, intense, and looked great tonight. And then, what was I going to say? Luca Garza tonight had 11 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and shot 50%. And I talked about him earlier. He was a phenomenal player and looked great, and he just showed a lot of heart and hustle. So love that. And then Sam Hauser also helped this team with 12 points, 7 rebounds, and finally Jaylen Brown had 21 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and shot 45%. I loved his play tonight. Couldn't get it going early, but at the end of the game kind of showed a little bit more, was not getting calls, but ultimately, Daniel, it was a rough game tonight. It was a tough game, but you got to credit this Celtics team. You got to credit the Celtics team. They work hard on a night to night basis, and you got to give them credit. But do you have any other thoughts you want to add on to that after I just went over player stats?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think including what was it, Shyman and Simons. Um, uh, is are those the names you mentioned, Griffin?
Yeah, so Simons shot 71.5%, only shot 7 shots though, went 5 for 7. And Baylor in that third quarter was taking over, but he didn't get any playing time till garbage time in the
I,
fourth
I
quarter.
agree. I agree. Then yeah, Simons and Shyman should have gotten more looks and definitely more minutes in the fourth quarter. Um, if the game plan wants to cut that lead short and possibly make a comeback, then yes, I agree. I think for most of the guys, like honestly, coming out of halftime, it was just like most of the guys weren't hot, were cold, and I think that mentally transitioned into like like just kind of having a bad mental game after that. I feel like because like you said, most of the starters, like in the second half, except for JB, like well, I really was not seeing anything from them, in terms of scoring or like helping out the game. So I really wish we could see more of Shyman and Simons because those are the two guys that had some heart, late in the game and in the third quarter as well.
Yeah, no, well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, keep going, Daniel.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think like I'm like just turnovers really. That's all I'm gonna say. It was rough tonight. It was really bad. Um, I really don't like that we had more turnovers than we averaged tonight. Credit to Dyson Daniels and the player he is, but just should not have been happening.
No, well said, Daniel. It was a rough one tonight, um, for the Boston Celtics, but they look to bounce back Friday against the Kings, as that's what we need to look forward to. We can't be sitting on this game. Every night. There are going to be some rough ones, but I do want to address these comments really quick. To RZB Sports, who is a Hornets fan. If you don't like the content that we're providing, then I'm sorry, but you know, we're doing what we can here, and there's nowhere but up. And if it's like watching paint dry for you, maybe this is not your type of content. So,
Hell
you
yeah,
know,
hell
to
yeah,
it.
Griffin.
So get out of here, man. We go Celtics, go Celtics. And to this guy, I gotta say, I played ball before, not at the professional level, but I am a huge Celtics fan, and if you wanted to know about my Celtics fandom, I'll give it to you really quick. I used to be a huge Red Sox fan, and I'm actually in New England, and then I fell in love with Celtics basketball. Have been loving it, and am actually Daniel and I are sports management majors, and we look to go into media, so this is propelling us to it. So those are the comments, and again to RZB Sports, if you don't like what you're watching, and it's like watching paint dry, I'm sorry, but you go watch something else then.
Get out of here. Go watch the Hornets recap videos or something like that.
Go watch the
Like
Hornets, man. Go watch the
what
Hornets.
Hornets fans are doing recap videos? Go watch them.
Yeah, bro. That's all I gotta say though. But again, Daniel, rough loss, but we look to bounce back against the Sacramento Kings on Friday. So you could tune in after the game, unless you guys like watching paint dry. Then you don't have to tune in. But and then on top of that, make sure tomorrow to go check out the CNR podcast episode 85, as we broke down the recent Celtics breaking news. and you would love to go watch that. So go check it out if you're interested in watching something other than paint dry. So with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications to be notified every time we upload. Check out episode 85. And remember, this is more entertaining than watching paint dry. Have a good night, you guys. Peace, y'all.
Peace.